Mm. Uh-huh. Uh. Uh. Yes. All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and good afternoon indeed. Welcome to another exciting episode of Late for the Party on Anchor FM. I am your host, Melodious, aka Coverboy, the Modern Marvel. That's right, you guys. We are going to get into a quickfire review of the Netflix anime series that came out on March 5th, I believe, which is known as Pacific Rim the Black, which is basically a spin-off of the movies that well, I'm actually going to say that the original movie, not the sequel of Pacific Rim, which was Pacific Uprising. This is more or less taking place during, or I think it's taking place after the first Pacific Rim, honestly, and rightfully so, because honestly, this one takes more. This one takes more. The series takes more of like what the first one, like little like the events right after. I say how far, but it was pretty on the nose where it wanted to be at. So, and honestly, I feel like how this series was is only 7 episodes. You could catch on to it real quick because the episodes are only like 30, like at least within like 27 minutes or something like that. So it's not, you can catch up with the series pretty quickly. It's actually pretty good. It's basically revolving around two kids or two siblings. It was Taylor and his sister Haley, and their parents were Jaegers, were pilots of Jaegers, and the whole MO behind that with Jaegers, like being Jaeger pilots, you have to have at least two Jaeger pilots, preferably family members who are able to do the neural handshake together, which honestly, it's like, damn, I mean, you have to meld like one person's controlling one side of the Jaeger while the other one is controlling the other side. So when they do the neural handshake with the Jaeger itself, which has its own AI, or it merges with each other, it's called the neural handshake. What it is that their memories meld together. So the better the mind meld, the better the handshake, the better you guys are cohesive with each other when it comes down to being in the robot. So you guys are one cohesive unit. Which, I mean, it sounds pretty damn complicated, and also it sounds pretty rough too, because like if you're not on the same page, your neural, it could fuck up your whole situation. And it's like I mean damn, it's like, look, and then it's like, you're piloting by yourself. I mean, you can't even pilot it by yourself, because if you do pilot it by yourself, it's like a very deep strain, and it could mess you up pretty badly. So it's like, wow, that's kind of crazy how like most of that went down. And honestly, I'd say like Pacific Rim, when it came out back in 2013, is definitely one of those sleeper films that I call like gets the sleeper award, because I was not expecting something like a giant robot movie fighting monsters would be that good. I mean, other than like, we haven't had anything like something similar to like Starship Troopers, but not in the magnitude to where it's like, one is PG-13, two, I mean, the losses are pretty severe up in the Pacific Rim, but but for it to be an anime, it definitely doesn't hold back on the gore, and it definitely doesn't hold back on the casualties either. So, collateral damage is definitely in play when it comes down to this show. So Man, but honestly, it was good. It was real good. I like it. I like the designs for the design for the Jaegers. Basically, the whole idea is that the the parents of the kids who I mentioned before, they're pretty much Jaeger pilots, and they're protecting a city. The city gets compromised, so they have to escape, and they have to be on the run. They have to escape and seek refuge to another a city or a base, or a Jaeger base. So the whole point is that they drop the kids off in this little area where like it's in a kind of like in the desert area, and I think their characters are based off of in like Australia or something. So like their characters are in this initial area. They're like in this little kind of like a little oasis. Um, so the parents leave them behind so they can go seek help, and that's when the kids take over the story, and it's like the kids say that they're coming back, and 5 years later the kids are semi-grown. So pretty much. And I'm not trying to do too many spoilers because I want to like get if you guys are going to watch it and everything. That's my whole MO. When I do my podcast, I don't like really sliding spoilers, because it's like, if you're going to watch the show, watch the show. And for me to do my podcast or anything else, I have to duck and dodge bullets of like information involving like stories and everything else. So it's like, oh, this is what happened to this person, and like, oh, this is the big seat. Like, dude, it's hard. Trust me, it's hard to actually avoid this kind of stuff while you're sitting here trying to do a podcast. Unless if you're sitting here watching it on, like, if you're up to snuff. But since people like me got 9 to 5s and whatnot, so I have to really pick my spots and everything. So, but I mean, of course, the kids, the kids find a Jaeger and everything, and the adventure takes place in that aspect. And believe me, it's a pretty good story. It's a very good story. So yeah, 7 episodes. They're about like, let's say, 30 minutes a piece. So it's pretty quick to catch up on. So, but honestly, I mean, it's not too long. It's not too short. They get directly to the point, and also considering the fact that since if people who already watched the series of Pacific Rim, or watched at least the first one, the second one you could ignore, but if you watched at least the first Pacific Rim, definitely you'd be able to catch up on it, and you won't miss any beats of like everything from the neural handshakes, the difference between like the aspects of how the kaijus are actually the kaijus are, and what's the difference between certain kaijus when they consider them like categories, kind of like natural disasters. Like the higher the category on the kaiju, the more dangerous that they are. If they're a category 2 or 3, then they're pretty formidable. But when they start reaching when they're like one category or 2 category, they're pretty much fodder. But when you start riding into 3 and 4s, category 3s and 4s, they are strong, but they can be dealt. Category 3s are strong, but they can be dealt with. But category 4s, like now you're kind of in a situation to where like, you better hope you're like you got your A game up in your Jaeger, and your co-pilot is like on the same level as you are. So, but then like then there's other things like a category 5, and if you watch Pacific Rim the movie, and I recommend watching Pacific Rim the movie straight out, because that was very good, definitely. And then they also do some name drops from the movie itself. So yeah, straight out. So check it out, you guys. Straight out. Oh, like I said, my review on it, I give it a solid 8. So far, like the animation's great. It's one of those. It's kind of like it's one of those animes that like it kind of revolves around like if you ever seen the show Leviticus, and it's on Netflix itself. It's Leviticus and Leviticus or Blame. The anime is kind of like in that realm, and I think it's kind of like Knights of Sidonia's anime as well too. It's like I think it's those people that do it. It's very good. I like it, and story is pretty driven. And I mean, when it comes down to the action, it doesn't disappoint. And I mean, when the action happens for like giant robots, and I like how the robots differ. The Jaegers differentiate from each other. Their the looks, everything. The names are actually pretty dope too. The main Jaeger in this episode in this series is Atlas Destroyer. So it's focusing on that story. So no Gypsy Danger in this one. So but either way. So yeah, so I give it a solid 8. It's definitely worth watch. The only gripe it was only 7 episodes, so when you start digging into it, you kind of want to see a little bit more. And then also just wondering when the next season's gonna drop. So it just depends. So hopefully, with all this whole COVID shit and everything else that's been going on, hopefully it didn't get in the way of that. So either way, this is pretty much the word. Not word around the campfire. This is pretty much the Quickfire review on Late for the Party on Anchor FM, and also Late for the Party live on YouTube. So please like, comment, share, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and support the podcast on Anchor FM, where you can listen to it on all 10 platforms, from Castbox to Spotify. Anything that you can listen to your podcast, just type in Late for the Party. Also, check out all the cool merch on teespring.com for all the cool t-shirts, the gaiters, the face mask, and the coffee cups. So either way, you guys, I am your host, Melodious, a.k.a. Coverboy, the Modern Marvel, signing off. And as always, if you're going to be late for the party, turn it up to 11.